Hello, family and friends, brothers and nephews and nieces and grandnephews and grandnieces. Woo-wee! It's a hot one today, but it's only about 95 out here. 2 days ago, it was 105. 105 degrees already this year. That day, I just stayed inside, the air conditioning. But that gets old, that gets tiring, so today I had to make a grocery run to Buckaroo's, the local supermarket. No, not Buckaroo's. I went all the way into Quartzsite, Roadrunners. That's where I went today. It was only an hour trip. Pretty non-eventful. Gas prices were about $4 a gallon. I didn't need to get gas. I had a full tank from previously. I thought gas would be a little bit higher, but who knows. So yeah, I've been spending a lot of my time in the last 2 months figuring out what the heck I want to do. I've got one more issue with the camper van that I need to resolve, and I'm working on that. Then that's just my seat for when I want to work on the computer. I never did work out a good, comfortable position to work on the computer, and I've got that worked out now, I hope. Other than that, I've been wondering where to go, how to go. If to go. I've been wanting so bad to go to California, but I still do, and there's really no big reason not to, except that, I've got that sensible streak where I gotta think to myself, now, does it make much sense right in the smack dab middle of the gasoline price crunch, who knows which way it's going to go, to get in a vehicle and drive through California? Plus, not to mention the fact that we're at war, not to mention the fact that we've got internal conflicts between the federal government and the states like California. And you cannot, I can't figure out what I can expect. I don't have one of those, whatever it requires to fly cross country. I do have a birth certificate, but I've never gotten it updated on my driver's license. I guess that's because to get my driver's license updated, I've got to go get an eye test. And I know I need glasses to pass the driving test. And that's what these are. But I don't know what it is. I just, so yeah, I don't have one of those stamps or whatever they give you to fly across country. And it doesn't really matter, but if I get caught crossing a border somewhere after somebody in office makes a change, I don't know what to expect from day to day. What's going to happen with travelers, van lifers, homeless people, retired people, Social Security. I just don't know what to expect. And not to mention the climate, because there's no doubt about it, the warmest, earliest summer on record out here. I remember it got hot And I spent the 4th of July last year in the mountains because it was too hot to stay down here. It was my first effort, and that worked out fine as far as timing. This is only March, and it's it's 105 degrees already out here. Holy goodness! So I've been working out, trying to work out back and forth in my own mind. Go to California, like I've been wanting to do. Just bite the bullet and pay for gas. Take it as it comes. I'm as legal an American as any American ever was. But still, that doesn't matter. If some guy in a mask, acting all badass, comes up to me and starts making demands of me without identifying himself, there's liable to be trouble. I don't want to act like a badass, but I'm a badass. I always was. I've always had a problem with temper. I've always gotten a little bit too angry if people treat me with disrespect. And I was a military policeman. And my brother, I honor him and his service. He was a state trooper. Brother, you know who you are? You don't treat people like they're treating people. I don't care what color their skin is. You don't get in a man's face out of the blue for no reason, unless you're looking for trouble. And that's what they're doing, in my opinion. So, anyway, I've got to crawl out of that mindset. The bottom line is that I think I will just do that trip back up into the mountains and do it early this year and go up to maybe even as far as the Grand Canyon. Go north. Intending to just stay in Arizona for another season, another year at least, maybe another season at least, and stay up in the mountains where it's cool. I can do that. I did see a guy report that, yeah, well, everybody's doing the same thing, but they always have. That's been the thing to do. So it's a matter of, well, you just got to keep looking around till you find a spot. And it's always been that way, I guess. So, it's cooling down now. It's supposed to be cool now in the foreseeable forecast. Cool, 95. Relatively speaking, now, before the next heat wave comes. So I'll finish up the next improvement in the van. And I'm liking how the van's turning out. I've got it now where I can take out, right now I've got stored in it the diesel heater. I won't need to take that with me. The diesel fuel and the diesel heater I can take out and leave at home. Everything's working out fine with it. So, brothers, I'm trying to stay in touch. I know you guys have been traveling. I hope everything's working out fine for you. I don't know if you're back home yet or not. You've had winter weather up there, and I don't know what it's like in Florida. Up in Michigan, it was, but they only report on extremes in Michigan. They talk about Marquette had, I don't know, they got buried in snow, but I don't know what it's like down in Port Huron and Mount Clemens and St. Clair Shores. But anyway, I think everybody else is struggling with the same things as me. You can't ignore stuff, but you can't believe what you hear and see in the news. That's a new weird thing. That's not how we were raised. There were 3 channels on TV, national news, and that's how the nation shared a commonality of at 6 o'clock in the evening watching the evening news together and sharing the same truth about things. Now it's just constant. Oh, anyway, I don't need to explain it. Everybody knows how it is. So, in this environment, trying to figure out what the right thing to do is, that's kind of a hard thing. What's the right thing to do? I guess I'm a little bit more sensitive to it because I've kind of fine-tuned my whole future in ways that maybe I should not have. I mean, I bought this van to get really good gas mileage and be acceptable to California. It uses flex fuel, and that's, I think, only available in California. Good gas mileage and everything that I've been pushing for is to be a minimalist, live clean, respect my neighbors, and go to California and have a good time. And I just can't seem to pull the trigger on that. I can't seem to get there. I have to go to Prescott, in that area, I think, again, because I did like that. I enjoyed that last time. Then I went to Flagstaff, and I began to enjoy that, but I did it on a holiday. I did it on the 4th of July. And everybody was out there. And the trouble with holidays is that it's everybody's one time a year to be an asshole, to ignore, to just, you know what I'm saying, right? And I probably did it too. But I just don't do that kind of stuff anymore. I realize that there's too many of us bumping shoulders to suddenly, for one of them, to start acting like an asshole. There's too many of us to do that shit anymore. You get all these people together, and you start having a problem with that kind of attitude, and people don't seem to understand. Anyhow, I'll probably cut all this out because I just want to say hello to my brothers and their kids and their kids' kids. Because I think about them all the time. You know, I don't dwell on anything I don't have to. I just think about, well, I wonder what these guys are doing right about now. I wonder what it's like where they're at. I wonder if they're still going to school. I wonder if I can teach them anything. And then I realize, no, I can't. Never have been able to, never could. Never could get through to anybody, including my family or anybody else. I just get that look. And I realize, well, I tried, you know. But anyhow, yeah, I'm going to drink a few beers. It's cool out here. It's cool in the shade, a little bit of shade. There's a breeze, but not just breeze. And any hotter than this, and it would be time to go home. I love quails. You hear that? It's a quail. They call to each other. It's a mating call, maybe. It's I don't know if they're calling their children or calling to a mate or just communicating in general. But that's the part of this I love. When I was out here, I have a tendency to uh, relate to the animals. I try to understand what they're doing, and most of the time, they're just trying to not run afoul of us. Get it? Not run afoul? Quail? Anyhow. Um, they're not interested in us or what we do or want to do us harm or otherwise. They're just trying to get along in life and do their thing. So once you realize that, you kick back. Once in a while, they will reveal themselves to you. I don't know if it was one or more than one pet roadrunner. Roadrunners, they're not afraid of people. They don't necessarily love them and trust them, but they'll come to you. You can call them, and they'll come to see what it is. They'll, what's up with you, man? So I did that. I realized, oh, that bird is paying attention to me, and he's coming to me. So then I could feed him, and I would feed him. I'd toss, and they'd come within 4 or 5 feet of me. And them are beautiful birds, and you can see them. That if they were like 2-3 times the size, we would have to watch out for them. They would be eating us. Because they are badass birds now. Talk about Velociraptor 2.0. That's them. And other, of course, domesticated animals. Like I adopted a feral cat one time. The most beautiful animal. Boy, she was just weeks old when I first spotted her. There was a campground cat. It was a cat that the owner took care of. His name was Sam, and everybody knew and loved Sam. And suddenly one day, he came over to see me, and a tiny little white puffball was following him. It was a little kitten. And it wasn't his. It was entirely different coloration. But eventually, she kept coming by, and I'd feed her. And I adopted her and had her spayed. And she shared her life with me because she was still wild. She was still feral. She came and went as she pleased. I did not lock her in or cage her. If she was inside about 4 o'clock every morning, she'd attack my big toe. I'd be laying on my back asleep with my feet pointed up, and suddenly she'd grab onto that big toe and bite it. Ow, okay. So I'd get up every morning and let her out 4 o'clock, and she would just grab a hold of that toe. And okay. Anyway, she would let me follow her, and the other cats I could roam. The cats would patrol at night through the park, and I could walk with them, and we'd do this. Anyhow, yeah, I love animals, and at times there are animals out here. Of course, animals like coyotes are way too smart to get close to people, I think. Now, they are very jittery, skittish. So, if they were to come near you and you were to move a little bit, they'd take off running. They don't get along with people that way, and I can see why. I mean, there are packs of them, and I love to hear them at night. This time of year, I leave my door open with a screen door because it still cools off at night. And I love to listen to the sounds of the desert. Of course, I don't have any close neighbors right now, and the park is thinned out. Not a lot of people in the park, so it's very quiet, and nature's kind of taken over. But boy, I just lay there and listen to the coyotes and the owls, the hooty owls, and I'll never forget it. An old woman in there in the park mentioned, oh, she hated those owls, man. They make her angry and scare her. What? These owls are beautiful. They're little creatures no bigger than this beer can. They're just out there hooting and singing, and they want nothing to do with us. They have no reflection upon us. I love hearing those things. And she hated them. They were creeping her out and making her angry and scaring her. A tiny little owl, the sweetest little birds that, and they're all feathers. They're this big, but they're made out of twigs, covered in puffy feathers. I mean, they're not even thick, solid birds. So yes, part of it right now, this time of year, I absolutely love the quiet, peaceful privacy. Another thing I've got to work out. I've realized that my tent is too flimsy. My gate tent. I've got a tent that goes over that gate, and the wind just plays havoc on that thing. Most of the year, it's too windy for that tent. I've gotten away with it. Like now would be a perfect time, and now is when you need shade. But I need a more solid structure tent, a way to not. And the worst part is, the bed is inside the van, so I crawl into the van to go to sleep, and I leave the tent out. And it makes such a racket outside that I can't sleep. It worries me. It's going to blow away and rip and collapse and screw things up for me, so I go outside and take it down at times. And it's just that it's not set up. The fabric is pretty strong, but it's very thin. So it moves and flaps, and then the poles are extremely narrow, and there are just two of them that bend in huge arcs. And that's just not stiff enough to withstand any kind of side force. So the thing pushes sideways and looks like it's going to collapse. I don't know what to do about that other than I brought another tent. I've got two tents, and this other tent is a tunnel tent. It doesn't set up high, and it doesn't connect up to the van, but I could put it alongside the van, and it's only maybe 4 feet high. So, and it's round in a tunnel shape, so it doesn't catch as much wind to begin with. So if I want to really camp with a tent, I have two options. I can use that tunnel tent then, and then I can actually sleep in it. It's a good tent. It's got a vestibule, and I've seen people on YouTube put a stove in it. You can buy a kit and poke a hole in the side of the vestibule cover, and run a chimney out there and heat up the whole tunnel tent. And in the other end of the tent is a second enclosure, a second tent. It's got 2 layers, and within it is your sleeping. And it has a door, so you unzip and go into it and zip it closed, while the stove remains outside in the vestibule. So you can set that thing up to be quite comfortable. But it's it's 4 feet tall. You can't stand up in it, and that's my whole main beef, that I've got to straighten out my body. It's cool to sit in these comfortable chairs, but I gotta get a bag. It's getting away. Plastic bag. Get back in there. Don't give me no shit. Ow! Oh, quit now! Ow! Ow! Oh! Oh! Fooled ya. I got it. When I left my doors open. And grocery bag went flying. Yeah, well, let's see. What else is going on, bros, that I can report? Not a whole hell of a lot. Working on the family tree, not getting anywhere with it. I've got a very good family tree all the way up to the first immigrant in the Reed family side. There are other families that I've taken back to the old countries and worked out all of them to a certain degree. But my namesake, the Reeds, goes back to one fella who was born in 1623. And at that time, that was when they came over, at that time, that was the Pilgrims. That was the Mayflower. That was the beginning of the country in the late 1500s and 1600s. And our first ancestor that was here, that I'm very confident of, is Jacob Reed. No, is Philip Reed. And in Massachusetts, and but at the same time, there were a lot of Reeds from other families. Now, a lot of them were cousins. And depending on how far back, there were different connections to different Reeds in England going farther back. But there were so many William Reeds. I think there must have been 3 William Reeds that actually came here. But they all brought sons. So, which Reed was Philip's father, I'm having a hell of a time trying to decipher. Because there's all kinds of Reeds that go way back to the 1400s in England. And it was a different society. You had people with no names, and then you had the autocracy. The people who controlled the land. And they weren't necessarily royal, but they had position. And a lot of the Reeds, I think, were like that. They were knights and lords and ladies because they were born in castles. They weren't born out as peasants. They were born in castles, and they had good records. And they married into other influential families. And there was a lot of them over there. And I just can't, it's hard to find the connection. And of course, it's because I've only got the free version of the family tree now. I'm not paying for it, and they cut off all your all your features when you're not paying. I can't do searches, and I can't research documents and stuff like that. All I can do is superficially go through and check for my errors and stuff. But I've been doing that because it's just very interesting trying to understand just how different things are than what you might if you don't think about it, you don't have a clue that back in 1500s and between 15 and 1600, I counted the generations back, and at some point, if you count back 13 generations, that's about in that time. That means mom and dad is one generation, and that's two people. So there's me, which is one, then there's two, and then the next generation up is four. So it's however many generations to the power of two. And if you do the math, I think that comes out to like 8,000 people. So I had 18,000 12 grandparents. 18,000 12 great grandparents. 12 great 12 times grandparents. I mean, that's mind-boggling. How does that work? I think it's true. And then it comes back down to, well, I'm not sure there were 8,000 people. I mean, there must have been. Oh man. I bought some bread at, hang on a second. I bought some cheesy jalapeno bread from the grocery store and ate a little bit of it. And I got it on my hands and then in my eyes just now. Burned a little bit. But anyway, and all of our ancestors, the Reeds, came from that. If you look at the story, if you look and read about the pilgrims from the Mayflower, they all came from a certain part of England. That eastern middle coast, that is where our Reed ancestors came from. There's a section, Northumbria, which is the northern edge of that. And I think we had ancestors. That's where the Reed name originated and then spread out through different parts of that area. Reed, spelled R-E-A-D-E. And, of course, you know, when they start to spread out, you get cousins all over the place. And that's what we had. We had a whole bunch of related reeds. And I don't know, some of them probably weren't even close. Maybe some of them were. And they got on ships like the Mayflower and came over here. And all about at the same time. So around 1600. I don't know, plus or minus 50 years. And those are my people. They were weird. The Puritans, the Pilgrims, they were weird religious people. Devoutly religious to the weirdest religions that were outlawed. They became, because they were refuting the accepted religion, they were insisting on worshiping their own way and their own things. And now it's presented as the Pilgrims came over here for religious freedom. Yeah, but it's not for everybody's religious freedom. It's for theirs. They wanted to establish their religion here and only theirs. They wanted a place where they could establish their religion above all others. They didn't give a shit about other people's religion. It's not as if they just wanted everybody to be able to worship how they want. That didn't come till later. That's the Constitution. That's an entirely different range of history there. And I don't know. I don't understand it. All that we're doing, everybody in the world hates us now. Everybody, we have no allies. They're all turning their back on us.